Melbourne's interesting. Now, a couple of wins, pressure went off, and then they put in a shocker. And the president, who hasn't had a lot to say of negative tone, Caro, along the journey, Glenn Bartlett, was very strong in the Herald Sun. Now, this got a fair reaction. Soft as butter was among his comments, and he went on to say it was disgraceful and they don't give out the jumper in Wheaties packets. That was very almost out of character for his mild-natured presidency, and it hit home for a lot of people. Everyone seemed to have a view. Among the negative view was the former best and fairest Bernie Vince.
I'd be filthy as a player because that's not his role. He shouldn't be saying that, those sort of comments. It's up to the coaches and the coaching staff to give you feedback on how you played. And no doubt they'd be very disappointed, but it's not the chairman's role. And I'm sure, and I haven't spoken to any of the players, but they would be filthy with that.
It can be the chairman's role if it's a team decision or that there is a concerted attempt to do something. This was a rogue attack by Glenn Bartlett. No one in the footy department knew it was coming. I don't think they're super happy about it. I think
he's the boss, though, isn't he? He can say what he wants.
Well, he can, of course he can. But look, this is not an attack on Glenn, and we've had a couple of issues in the past, but Glenn has a glass jaw, so he should be careful who he's thrown stones at because he is an extremely sensitive man. He has failed to unite the factions at that footy club, and I think he should be looking at his own position as much as anyone else's. I mean, there are so many revered former Melbourne people who still give a lot of money to that club who feel they've not been brought into the fold by Glenn or Gary Pert.
It's that type of footy club, though, that doesn't...
Well,
its ex-people never seem to get along with its current people, no matter who the ex and current are.
I think it's as worse as it's ever bad as it's ever been in that area.
But he is the chairman, and he is entitled.
And Craig, but my
while
next
he's
point
in that role to
you're going to see these blowouts. You're going to see these losses when we're having the footy festival.
You're not giving them that cop out, are you? Melbourne?
No, but I think that's an overreaction on the eve of playing Adelaide.
No, they're 3-5, Caro.
How many shots is he going to have left in his bow if they lose to Adelaide?
Well, that just shows he's probably right. He's probably spot on with what he said, Caro. I've put, if I was a player, I'm with you 100%. But now being out of it...
But do you think there should be some form of unity between the CEO, the footy boss and the coach as well?
Maybe they've tried that for the last 18 months. And maybe he did go rogue. But if I was Max Gawn, I'd actually say, yeah, we're all upset. But let's take a look at what he said. On the weekend, were we soft as butter? Yeah, I reckon we were against Port Adelaide. Are we standing up for our jumper? No, we're not. And we've even had our former captain, Gary Lyon, call us insipid. We were all these things. And Simon Goodwin's under the pump, and Kane will talk about him shortly. But I'd say, are we using the ball and treating it like a piece of gold? Am I, if I'm being paid $700,000 a year, which probably Viney and Oliver are, how do we keep doing this? So our coach is copping it left, right and centre, and I think he should because he's got no answers. But this is just unforgivable from Melbourne, how they can miss targets the way they do. And we've shown that probably 6 or 7 times in the last year and a half.
I agree with Caro that we're going to see variable performance, but I don't have a problem with the chairman venting. Even if he was having a rogue moment, something has to change a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
If you can give it, you've got to be able to take it. And I'm not sure Glenn can take it internally at the footy club or externally.
Kane, where's it fault?
No doubt, Caro. No doubt there's some fault on the players, 100%, and what Lordo has just explained is spot on. But Simon Goodwin is to blame for some of the decisions he's made. Now, namely in selection and also in their game style. Now, if he thinks that this, in the first quarter with 4 minutes to go, is a game style that he's going to beat Port Adelaide, he's completely misread it. You're actually going to have to shift the ball off the line, do something different, challenge Port Adelaide's defence, which has been so strong. Ken Heckley's waiting for this. This ball can go nowhere else but sideways, short, back down the line, which Port Adelaide's defence is set up for. Look, they go to switch, nothing, Port Adelaide, instant turnover. So part of it is Simon Goodwin not willing to take enough risk with his game style. This is what happens when you do, and you freewheel a little bit. You play on instinct. You take the ball with hands, with pace through the middle of the ground. This was their best piece of play for the night. I reckon they did it once, and it ends up with Wiedemann kicking a walk-in goal and a mark in the goal square. I thought that was the only time they did it. You question his selection also. They got a really healthy list, Melbourne, and you put Tomlinson on a 4-year deal where he can't get a game. Left Jetta out, went with 3 tall forwards in the forward line. So Simon Goodwin definitely has some of the blame with his coaching in the last 18 months.
And Hutchie, Kane made the point on Sunday, I think it was, that he looks a confused coach. I agree with that 100%.
Do you?
Yeah, he looks confused, and we've spoken about his press conferences. We've showed his press conference, very similar to last year. And still, even with Alan Richardson coming in, Darren Burgess coming in.
On big money.
On big money.
Big money.
Does it get to a point as a coach where you preach what you believe. You've always had great He looks to me as a guy who's always had great self-esteem and faith in his plan. And if it's not working over a period of time, do you feel you start to second-guess that a little bit?
Yeah, you do, but you've got to be good enough to adjust. It's not throwing the whole plan out. It's just adjusting a few things. But that last kick inside 50, Gawn's tap downs, there's been no answers or no improvement.
They've looked good in certain games this year. Look, they can't do anything about the coach. He's got 2.5 years left on his deal. The AFL won't let them do anything about the coach. They can't afford to act on him. So
How would they know what the AFL's view is?
Because they'll have to go to the AFL if they're going to pay out Simon Goodwin a 2.5-year contract, and I know what the AFL will be saying. They're a recipient club, or they will be if they haven't borrowed money already, and
I don't think it's a case of they're stuck with him, though. I think that's disrespecting the job he's doing.
I'm not saying that they should get rid of him. I'm just telling you that's not an option for Melbourne at the moment.
Do you think no coach in this environment will be put off at the end of this season?
Not a coach with 2.5 years to go on his contract who has got a club with the financial circumstances
but no one's out
of Melbourne.
of contract, though, are they? Is there no,
Let me reframe that. Do you think if he was out of contract at the end of the year that he wouldn't be renewed?
No, I'm not saying that. I certainly think he'd be under more pressure. We all agree he'd be under pressure, but I think you're overstating it. One really poor game. They've looked good in recent weeks.
They've had one good win. It was Hawthorn.
Okay, well, I still didn't like what the president said.
They're 15th, Caro.
Hey, listen, I'm not sticking up for Melbourne.
year.
I'm just saying they won't be sacking the coach.